All right, getting ready to work on the 1999 Chevy Silverado 4x4 LT. Whoops, got my glove there. Something that I didn't know was wrong with the truck. I haven't had the truck very long. When I bought it, a lot of snow on the ground, ice, very cold, bitter cold in the teens. I checked it out, but not as well as I should have. Well, once everything thawed out, got underneath there, power washed everything out, I found out there's a little bit of a problem with the differential, rear differential. I'm going to give it a shot myself, see if I can't fix it. Actually found a U-boat that is broken, go around the spring and then come down to the bottom of the differential. Okay, so here is what we're looking at. Here are the U-boats right here that go up over the leaf spring, comes down on the other side, and there's a plate underneath it, and then here's the U-boats that are actually coming out with a nut on them right here. Okay, this one on the other side has completely rusted through and is that little bit of an angle. I bought me new plates for the bottom, and I also have new U-boats. One by one, I'm going to take them off, and I'll take this side off first, drop this plate down. Underlying problem besides that right there, I've got some fluid that seems to drip out right down in here. Once I get this plate off here, is it rusted through bad enough where it can't be fixed, or am I going to have to take this differential right here? Am I going to have to take it all the way out and replace it with one either from a salvage yard, or I can get a remanufactured one? Because of the rust that's underneath it, I would guess the truck was probably used to launch a boat quite a bit. It was, anybody that knows Chevrolets knows that there's always a problem with rust on them. Along the running boards, I've got rust I'm going to work on, and a quarter panel, I've got some rust, but that really doesn't bother me. It seems like it's got a very strong engine. It's got a rebuilt Jasper transmission in it. Very happy with the powertrain. It's just I've got to take care of this right here. I've sprayed these down here with some blaster, so they ought to back off pretty easy. Kind of see at one time it was powder coated or sprayed, some kind of an under sealer put on it. It's kind of flaking off. Somebody had put new brake lines on it, and we're thinking that probably this cable, the shoes that go inside the rotor in here, the emergency cable shoes, are probably not hooked up. They probably took them apart, they ran into a few problems, and they just ended it from there. Of course, if this goes well, I'm definitely going to put new shocks on the back. The pumpkin right here, what they call the pumpkin, it doesn't look like it's leaking any. Sammy, did you make it through the storm? Now look at you, you got mud all over you. What are you smelling, huh? I thought I was going to get on the 1999 Chevy Silverado this morning, first thing, but we had some pretty bad storms go through, and now I've totally lost electricity. So don't know how much I can actually see underneath there, since the Chevy's backed in to the shop here, but might get back there and maybe try to do something. Won't be able to do much filming because really don't have any light systems going right now. I wanted to show you this right here though. I've got the back end lifted up on concrete blocks. Actually, they're solid blocks, like this one right here. Jazz, what's your matter, girlie? Huh? I had some ramps, so I put those down, add a little extra protection right here with the yellow ramp. I've got a block behind it. Come around this side. Got the same thing. You know, I'm a little bit nervous because I've never done anything like this before. I don't know how much this will cause the truck to move, but I just wanted to be safe. So I've got one of those blocks here, and then I put two of them, and that way I could drive up on one, and then it was easy to drive up on the other. Got it centered, but then I went ahead and added these this morning. This is two more, just in case the truck was to go backwards, which it shouldn't be able to, but that way it's just not like a big drop off. I've got this area right here. I think that's all I can do for now. I'll get underneath there, probably go ahead and see what kind of boats I've got to back off, get everything ready to go. Might start on it, but I won't be able to really show you what's going on, but I'll get you caught up as soon as the electricity comes back on, if it comes back on today. I don't know. I think this was a little twister that came through, went through the tops, lost a pretty big pine tree, about a 30-year-old double pine I had over here, white pine. It's the way it goes. You can see they're pretty rusted. Actually, this one right here in the back, I just took out. But when I took it off, check that out. So I'm thinking, you know, snow, ice, something just sat up there forever. You know, truck might have been parked for a while. Washer came out. So now I'm working on this one here. I'm starting to undo it. And my plan is to take it out. If everything goes good, then of course I'll work my way to this one right here. This guy right here, take them out. I've got brand new U-boats, and I also have a plate. New plates came in. Now I also have my pan sitting here because there's always a chance what's going to happen here. If this differential here, and I know I'm not using the right terminology, but you know, I basically call it a rear end or differential, axle, whatever you want to call it. You know, it looks pretty good. It starts getting a little bit rough right in here. If this is totally ate up underneath this plate, I could knock this plate off and the fluid from the differentials is going to come running out right here. So I got my pan on standby just in case. Number 22, 3/4 inch. I broke it loose, both of them loose. Well, the one just broke in half. But I'm breaking this one loose with the breaker bar, but it's every time I turn it, it's just not getting any easier, so I decided to go to a ratchet. Okay, the ratchet was a no-go. Put it on there and just way too tight, so I'm going to go back to the breaker bar. Yeah, they're super tight. I got a feeling it's a lot of this crud that's down here. Man, coming off pretty hard. All right, you can see it's loose up in there, but it's still coming off super hard. I'm sure it's because the threads are just all messed up. So I'm going to go ahead and keep on going. It's kind of nice that it is a U-boat. If not, to try to get this out would be impossible if it was spinning on the top side. You'd probably have to cut it out. Yeah, working on the Chevy Silverado 1999 4x4 LT 1500, and you can see it is storming again outside. Yeah, I've got no electricity, so it's kind of difficult to show you exactly what I'm doing here. The U-boat that was broke, I've almost got it out now. You can tell it's pretty loose. I'm going to go ahead and turn it a little bit more. That's actually heating up. It's so much friction trying to turn that off. Okay, so I was able to go ahead and take the U-boat out that was broke. Actually, it was rusted in half. Here it is right here, the U-boat. There's a plate right here, like you can see, on the bottom of the differential, and this goes up over the leaf springs and comes back down. When I say it's broken, it had already broke in half, and this was like almost at an angle a little bit. Days before, I soaked the bottoms really good with Blaster, and I also took it and sprayed it up above so it would run down into that cavity, into that plate right there. And you can see it kind of soaked in right here. Can't really tell much on this side, but right where the bolt was right there, it was still pretty dry and pretty messed up. The guy in the parts store said it's not a differential. He said it is a axle. Okay, went ahead and found me some Some of the mechanic gloves, oh, I see that one's already breaking through. These are pretty old, so I got a feeling they're not going to last very long. But those blue ones, those are pretty well junk if you're trying to work on a car. Okay, yeah, this is in bad shape. Went ahead and took this one off right here. Bam, look at that. Rotted in twos. And you can see this plate right here is pretty loose. What my uncle was saying is that, who's an expert mechanic, was saying there's a possibility because of what's happened here, this rear end was shifting a little bit and could have wore a hole, this axle housing here. So anyways, so what I'm faced with now is when I go to grab it and I get on it with the breaker bar, what happens is the whole thing is shifting. And see, it's coming against that brake line right there. You take a screwdriver like this and put it in there and hold it steady. So with one hand, and try to break it with the other and see if maybe that'll work. Tough working on the ground, always is, and tough working by yourself. This could almost be a two-person job right here, especially for an untrained person like myself. All right, I don't know how well you can see that. Yes, that is my boot on the screwdriver, because I can't hold it with my left hand and try to take this off my right hand. It's just too dang tough. So I'm gonna just take it like this and just work it off, just like that. It's gonna come off the same way, but that's what you got to do. Hey, when you're working by yourself, you know, you got two hands and you got two legs. Use them. That's what I always did in construction. All right, I'm gonna go on with it. Yeah. 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 All right. Coming up there. Slowly but surely. The pumpkin, maybe the pumpkin's dry. So that's another thing we'll have to check. But I'll get all this cleaned up. And here's the U-bolt that I just took off. And once again, you can see one side of it rusted completely out or twisted off. I don't think that one was broke quite yet, but it looks like obviously it was going to. And then this one here come off. So let me take these parts outside so you can see them better. Yeah, that's pretty slick right there. I bet you anything Tony was right that rear end was sliding, has been sliding back and forth for a while right there. Now check this plate out. This is pretty wild. So this went on like this right here. So the way they were broke, you know, this one went through here on this side. Of course, that one went through there. So you can see this is pretty crazy the way this is. This side here looks in pretty good shape. There's a little bit flaking off right here, but not bad. But look at this side. I mean, I think that is all corrosion in there. This is a 1999 Silverado 4x4 LT 1500. If you have one of these trucks or something, you know, within that generation, you might look at this, because this is, yeah, look at that. That is all corrosion that built up in there. So what I'm thinking is, you know, as it corroded, it fell into this slot right here and it just built it up. And then that would hold moisture, and through the years, it just ate it up. Look at that. And that almost looks like mud. Look at that. That's almost like mud. So, you know, I know the truck doesn't look like it's ever had a lift kit on it. It looked like it was stock to me, but even stock, you know, crazy country boys will go out and four-wheel drive even a stock vehicle. I know I did on my J20, 1982 J20. I went out and I buried it so deep in the mud, but you know what? Now that I look at it, that does look like some mud in there. There you go. Yep. Yep. So this plate started rusting here pretty good, but the rest of it is still pretty strong. Breakout, I'll show you where I got the new parts. I'll show you what they look like. Okay, so now I got my new parts right here. They took about a week to get here. ATS Springs, which is Automotive Truck Springs, B&T Sales Incorporated, Solderton, Pennsylvania. So there you go. You can kind of see that right there. Solderton, Pennsylvania. All right, well, let's go ahead and open this one up and see what we got. It was free shipping, and the total was about $140, something like that. So let's go ahead and open this up. 4th generation, family owned and operated. They were very helpful. I was able to pick out what I wanted online, but then I went ahead and made a call just to confirm. They were very nice, said I had exactly what I needed. Okay, so here's some pieces here. These must go up on top. I don't know if I was going to replace those. The old ones, they look okay, but I've got some brand new ones here. I might as well. So here's the plates. And yeah, that looks really nice. It looks like, hi Janice. It looks to me like it's an exact match. There we go. Okay. Boy, heavy duty. Nice. Very nice. Let's check the length of them. I've gotten underneath there, and you know, you have an option of 8.5, 9.5, 10.5, 11.5. They go all the way up to like 16.5. I guess if you got a lift kit on your truck. Here's the original. Right on. A brand new rear differential. I was going to have somebody do all the work for me. You know, it's going to cost quite a bit of money. This way here, I'm doing it all myself. So far, I'm out $140. That's not bad. Yeah, those will go right in there like that. And I guess this plate here sits up on top, just like that right there. All right, very cool. When I hook up to Selvin and I go down Interstate 64 to my favorite lake, man, I'm gonna feel so good about having all this done and right, because that rear end, I agree with my uncle. That rear end, I think was wanting to slip back and forth. You know, maybe on every takeoff. I don't know. I didn't hear any noise back there, but those smooth spots on there tell me that it was sliding. Something was sliding. So maybe when you put it in reverse, when you put it in forward, definitely if you took it off-road, would not be good. All right, got the power back on. Now we can see what the heck is going on here. So you can see, definitely, there was some rubbing going on. I'm going to clean all that up right there. That's weird. They sent blocks. Trying to reach up. I don't feel. It's got that little block up on top there. I don't know. I guess I'll see if maybe that'll pry loose. It doesn't feel like it's loose. I'll have to think about that. This one feels like it's in pretty good shape. I don't know if I'm going to replace it or not. I'm going to take something and I'm going to scrape around on this, clean this up. I'm really happy I don't see gear grease and differential fluid coming out of it, but I want to clean it up and make sure it's not going to leak before I put it back together. Pan underneath there. Okay, I've come up with a line of attack here. What I've done is I went ahead and scraped the axle, the differential, went ahead and scraped it off really well. I did find a little tiny, it must be like a little pinhole. After it sat for a while, I got it all cleaned up, dried it all off, went in, had some lunch, come back out, and I saw a little bit of fluid that was starting to seep out of it. So it does have some type of a little leak. I decided to go ahead and first of all, I'm going to clean it up with this right here. This is the engine degreaser, gunk engine degreaser, and just make sure I get rid of all the chemicals, everything like that, dry it off, make sure it's in good shape. I'm going to go back with a JB weld. Down the line, I can revisit this. I can take it all back apart. You know, I may actually take it in sometime and maybe have somebody reinforce this area a little bit. Maybe put a little weld, like a half moon piece on it. See how that goes. But for now, you know, I think I can go ahead and put the JB weld on it. I'll stop the leak, reinforce it a little bit, put the new U-bolts on, put the new plates on, tighten it all back up, go on to the next side. I just sprayed that gunk on there. I'll go ahead and let that sit for a little bit. I'll clean it up and we'll go from there. I'm glad I went ahead and got those new bolts. Let me get it all cleaned up. I'm going to apply the JB weld on there, and I'll show you how I do that. Okay, on your JB weld, what you want to do is make sure you got it all mixed up. You know, 1 part black, 1 part white. Just mix it up real good until it turns gray, and you are ready to go. I'm not exactly sure how much time you have to work. I looked at the instructions and didn't tell me a working time, but I'm thinking it's no more than 5 minutes, even if it's that much. So you don't want to piddle around. You want to go ahead and get it on there. Get you a nice smooth application going. JB's is leak proof. Once you get it put on there nice and good. You don't want it too thick because that plate won't fit on. Your bottom plate. You'll have a problem with your bottom plate. Main thing about this too, if you're going to use this, is make sure that you buy it the big tube. Make sure that you have enough. I think I saw where once this sets up, it's got 5,000, over 5,200, I guess that's pounds of pressure on it or something. You know, it's pretty strong stuff once it's all set up. Once it starts setting up, you got to get off of it. You just can't keep messing with it because it will come apart on you. Caulking or anything. Once it sets up, starts to set up, just get off of it. You're done with it. You've done the best you can do. But that's the way to do it. Get it all set up. I'll let that dry now. Better shot of it. That'll definitely keep that drip that was happening. Keep it down. Set up super strong. I'll probably bolt it back together tomorrow. Once I'm all said and done, I'll go ahead and spray that Rust-Oleum on here and over on this side right through here. Just kind of spray all that down right there. Yeah, I think it's going to work out pretty good. You know, the one thing that I'd like to say about this is, you know, I've been four-wheeling in the mud and the trails, and, you know, my whole adult life, basically. You know, I've got a 1982 J20 Jeep pickup truck sitting right out here. Got it wrapped up right now. Going to plan on getting to it, you know, sometime, you know, this summer and doing a few things to it. But buried it in the mud so many times that I'd open the door and mud would just come in and fill the floorboards. But now, after seeing this and seeing the amount of damage that something like that can do, once that mud gets compacted up in those plates and, you know, around your U-bolts and up in your frame and everything like that, and if you don't consistently clean your truck up each time, boy, what a mess that can make. That's pretty incredible. And I'm sure that's probably what did it to this truck right here. You know, it's taught me a lesson. I hope if you're a four-wheeler and you go out and get in the mud every weekend and stuff, be sure and get underneath there and be spraying out your undercarriage and stuff, because, man, that stuff can make a mess. And, you know, of course, salt, you know, up north, you know, Michigan trucks, Wisconsin trucks, you know, they're notorious for just being so ate up with rust. I'm going to go ahead and take a break for the rest of the day. I got other things I'm going to do. Storms are rolling through. Tomorrow, get out here. I'm going to bolt that all back up. Appreciate you coming along. I'm hoping this will help you out a little bit. Remember, I'm not a trained mechanic. If you are a trained mechanic, you're probably going to see things that I'm doing that probably aren't, you know, probably up the code or things like that, give me a comment. Let me know if there's other ways that you could do it. If other folks are watching this video, they'll see that there's other things that you can do rather than the way I did it. Okay, it's been about 3 hours. It feels like it has set up pretty good. It's still just a little bit tacky. I'm gonna see if I've got some spray paint to spray on that real quick. And at least I'll have this section done. And then tomorrow I'll get over there on the passenger side and work on it. All right, I got that coated up. What I ended up using, Flex Seal. You know, I got into my arsenal of paints that I have sitting over there, and yeah, Mr. Smiley Face Flex Seal himself. I thought, well, you know what? Why not? Spread it on there for maybe one more layer of protection. I can't imagine it leaking, but I'll have to keep a good eye on it, especially once I take a long trip or something with the boat. Okay, so this is kind of some demanding filming here, but I'll see if I can't get it to work out. All right, so here's my U-boats. Now I decided not to use the piece that they sent me for up above, and I'm just going to go ahead and set these on here, and I can feel up here. There's one slot, and yeah, there's the other slot right there. I can feel the ridge up above. I can feel the pin in the middle that's holding it, and I feel the other side. So it goes. Let me go ahead and grab my other boat, my other U-boat. That way there I'll have both of those hanging on there. The original ones that came off, and they were this big here. But when I put this piece on, when I go ahead and I keep that factory piece up above and I put this on, the boats are hanging down quite a bit there. If I can figure out how to get that plate up above, this one here appears to be thicker and may take up more room. I just have to figure out how this piece up here, if it'll pop off. I'm gonna see if I can Google that. Actually, I'm gonna see if I can get on YouTube, and if somebody can show me how to take that plate off up above there, because that might be the way to go. YouTube search and see if I can find out how to get those off, but I think I decided I'm gonna first of all just try to get a screwdriver up there and see if maybe it'll just pop off. I can't really see it, but I can get a screwdriver up there. I can feel, there it goes. I think it came off right there. Yep, there it is. All right. Okay, well, that was easy enough. Okay, so you can see here's the old plate. Here's the new plate. And boy, what a difference. So I'm just going to set this new plate up there. It's a lot beefier, a lot heavier. And I've got the thread length to make it work. Let's see if I can get this back up there. Yeah. Seems pretty cool to me. Seems like it'll work. Drop my U-boat back down here again. Come here, Huey. Come here, Euster. Now, let's try to get this U-boat up there. I'm gonna have to go like this way. And come down. There we go. It's because I've got a little bit of movement up there. So that's it right there. That's on there at the top. That's on there. Let's see if I can get this to go. Okay, I got that side. Got a feeling this is like a little bit like a puzzle. Ooh, dog. A puzzle that I just solved. Yes. So once again, I am not a mechanic. I like to piddle. I like to piddle with my vehicles. I've learned a lesson. Don't take on too much. Like those struts I put in the 2004 Pontiac Montana. That was a beast. A beast for me, not for a mechanic. Mechanic could have got it, no problem. But when you don't do this full time, you don't know all the tricks of the trade. Without having previous knowledge, I'm thinking I'm going to tighten these guys like you would lug nuts, just in a cross pattern so you get them all tight exactly right. Well, I tell you what, that's nice. You know how much better that makes me feel, just having this all put back together? The axle, the housing sealed up. Now, maybe it'll hold, maybe not. But, you know, that's what's the nice thing when it's your vehicle. You're not going to have any returns where you got to pay for it. If it doesn't, well, fix it, you know. Wow, check that out. That is super strong. So I'm just going to do them like this. What do you think, mechanics? Let me know. I'm thinking this is a wise way to go here. You just do them a little bit at a time rather than crank down on one of them. That way you got a nice even fit. I like it. I tell you what, I like that JB weld I put on there. Seal, the spray seal I put on there. I can see that working pretty well. A secondary protection from a leak. Wow. Man. Once I get that other side done, like I said, I'm going to feel so good. This rear end was probably slipping just a little bit. I'm surprised it didn't blow a drive shaft. U-joints, you know. All right, so there you go. Look at that. How's that for looking pretty? And strong. So I tighten these babies down with this big 3/4 breaker bar I have. And I mean, I tighten them down tight, but could I have tightened them more? Yes, but I don't want to twist them off. For us, I think I'm going to go talk to my Uncle Tony and see what he says, see if what I've done is right. You know, what I might do is maybe after I drive it a few times, get back under here, see if anything has loosened up a little bit. I would imagine you want them as tight as possible, but then again, you know, I don't want to twist one of them off. That would be such a bummer to twist one of these off right here. Okay, so here is the passenger side. You can see this plate here is a little bit rusted. I never have seen any grease that was leaked out of here. I suspect it still has compacted mud up in this plate right here that has probably rusted the axle tube out quite a bit. They're not broke like on the other side, but they may snap off if they're rusted inside there. So that is your problem, once again, is up in here. If you full wheel or you go mudding a lot, if you're in a snow, you need to get under here and try to clean this out every once in a while up above, because you can see how stuff gets compacted in there, and every time you run through rain and stuff, it's still getting wet. It's reactivating the rust every time. I just noticed something over here. Now this is a brand new discovery. I'm looking over here and that's a brand new part on there. Check that out. Cool. Oh, look, I could even see brake pads, and the brake pads, there's quite a bit of distance there. I thought the brakes felt really good on this truck when I bought it. That's one reason, you know, if the brakes would have been bad, I'd have probably would have investigated it a little bit more, but the brakes were really good. So, yeah, looks like a brand new part there. So that explains all the new brake lines and stuff. That was probably pretty expensive to do right there. You know, sometimes you buy a used vehicle, and that's just the way it goes. You know, it's almost impossible to know everything that could be wrong with it. Person I bought it from, you know, I'm sure they didn't know this was like this. And, you know, he's a real honest guy. So, you know, it's just the way it goes. You know, sometimes you have things like this, and ain't no sense worrying about it. Ain't no sense crying about spilled milk. Get underneath there, work on it, do it yourself, have somebody do it, and fix it up. If you got a nice truck, you got a nice truck. believe that one broke. Yep, there it is. There it is. Boy, look how thin it gotten. Man, oh man. Unbelievable. All right, well, one of them broke. Other three look like they're going to come loose. All right, continuing to break them loose. And, hey, bud, come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. Ain't going to hurt you none, son. I told you that before. Now you just, oh, look at you. I got my helper. Normally it's Jazz. Normally Jazz is here, but today it's going to be the Sam boy. Ain't it going to be you? You helping? All right. Don't worry about that sound. He's all nervous. We've had these big storms come through, and he's like all nervous about it. And he heard a jet take off. The airport's probably 5-6 miles away, and he heard a jet take off, and he's like freaking. Hey, can you grab me that wrench over there, bud? Come on, bud. Get that wrench over there. Hey, what am I paying you for anyways? Fine. I'll get it myself. Hard to find good help these days, Sammy. Jazzy would do it. Jazzy! Jazmola. There's Jazzy. Hey, hey, bud. Hey, could you give me a wrench for me, please? Over there. Over there, there's a wrench. No, over there. Oh, over here. Over here, bub. Bub. Oh, well. That's my crew. Come on. Come on off there. Come on. There we go. Woo! Yep, this was slipping too. Yep. Yep, I can see that. I can see on the differential that this one here was slipping too. So I guess that whole rear end was probably, you know, you take off maybe fast. It was going one way and then coming back. It's not far, you know, it's just a little bit of an arch, but there's a real slick spot on the casing here. I'll show you that. Sam? Sam, why don't you move, bud? Can you move for once in your life, buddy? Public announcement. A cautionary public announcement. If you have this here is a 1999 Chevy Silverado 4x4, 1500. If you've got a truck that age, Chevrolet, anywhere within a decade, back and forth, whatever, you got to take this seriously. Because look how these plates have done here. And you can see this shiny place right here. See that right there? That's where that rear end probably on takeoff, stops, maybe four-wheeling, hitting bumps. That whole rear end in this truck was kind of going one way and the other and just sliding. Now, my Uncle Tony was the one that first suggested that, and sure enough. Another U-boat. This is the one that snapped when I was taking it off on the video. Right there. But now look at this other one, the other side. Check that out. So you know if you've got a truck, and if you've worked in the truck, and you four-wheeled in the truck, and you've had a boat, and you back it in the water a lot, I would seriously look at these. Twice as big. This area right here is twice as big as this one, but then again it's twice as small as that one. There you go. So take warning. I searched YouTube platform and I couldn't really find anybody talking about this, so this may be the first video out there that gives you the warning. Take care of it, because this could be a real issue, especially if you're towing a big trailer, a camper, a boat. Yeah, not good at all. But I tell you what, this company, ATS, is pretty impressive. You know, you have everything marked on here. You know, you have the gauge of metal marked on here. You got, you know, nice threads. Big heavy duty nuts to go on there. All the washers are stamped 9/16, UB 9/16. Heavy duty gauge. KS15004. They're all marked. You know, it's got this space on the bottom where there's a pin that comes out of the leaf springs. And so that pin goes in there, and it still gives you a little bit of movement back and forth. As far as machinery goes, that is some pretty nice workmanship right there. I got to admit. All you gearheads out there and stuff that like automotive stuff, look at this. ATS, beautiful, absolutely beautiful, has a rock solid coating on it. You know, being a contractor my whole life, I like good material, I like good tools, and that's good stuff right there, folks. ATS, look them up. Automotive truck suspension out of Pennsylvania. $140 for this setup and an exact same setup for the other side. Everything you needed, working out great. But here's that spot right there, that shiny spot on the bottom cover, the original bottom cover. There's the shiny spot right there. That's an indication that a mechanic detective, like my Uncle Tony would know that this was kind of twisting a little bit and making that mark right there. This side here looks a lot better than the other side, the driver's side, because I don't see any fluid, possibility of any fluid leaking here. It all looks like it's in excellent shape. I'm just going to take it and scrape it off. It is day number 2. The Silverado, the 1999 Chevy Silverado. Work on the passenger side. I've got the old bolts out, got the old plate out, cleaned it all up. I think I'm going to go ahead and mix up a little of that epoxy, kind of spread it on there just for safety. There's no signs of a leak, but I just can't imagine that hurting anything to put a little bit an extra coat on it. When that gets tacky, I'm going to go ahead and spray it with that Flex Seal and be ready to go. All right, glad you came along. Hope you got some coffee. Let's get to work. Working on a vehicle like this, got considerable rust on it. You want to be sure and always, and that's capital letters, always wear safety glasses. You get an eye full of rust, chances are you'd be heading to the emergency room. Okay. That one went on. Okay. Almost made an operator error just then. Forgot the washer. All right, I think that project went pretty good. This was a 1999 Chevy Silverado 1500 LT. In case you have problems like that, just take it apart. Hopefully it's not worse than what this was. This looks like to me like I was borderline. I may revisit someday. I may actually have something welded on both of those places to make it even stronger. But for now, I'm pretty comfortable with fixing it this way, getting the brakes done, emergency brakes done, going from there, seeing how it goes. I appreciate you coming to the channel. That's LAF Space Film Fest, capital LAF Space Hammer Film Fest. Hey, if you would, hammer down that subscribe button. I appreciate it. Helps me to do projects like this. Helps me to put all kind of things on video. Show them to you. All right. Got that one all hooked up and ready to go. Same on the driver's side. Ready to go. All right. We go on from here. Job well done. If you got any projects like that for yourself, don't worry about doing them. You know, it's not that bad, and man, makes you feel good. Hey, Sammy, got any projects going on yourself? Huh? Oh, okay. Jazz, what about you? Nothing? Nothing? All right. All right, Chevy, Montana, on with projects.